Roald Dahl was largely known as a children's book writer behind the titles such as Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Fantastic Mr. Fox, Matilda, the Gremlins, and James and the Giant Peach. But behind his writer's persona, Dahl nurtured a splendid military and diplomatic career. Roald Dahl was born into a Norwegian family living in Cardiff, Wales in 1916. Even though he rose to be a prominent writer during his school years, his teacher didn't think much of him. His English teacher wrote in one of his school reports, "I have never met anybody who so persistently writes words meaning the exact opposite of what is intended." After finishing his education in 1934, Dahl got a job in the Shell Petroleum Company. He was first sent to work in Kenya and then in Tanzania. Tanzania was one of the former German colonies which were handed over to the British after World War I. A community of several hundred Germans still inhabited the capital city, so when war broke out in 1939, the British decided to arrest all German citizens to prevent potential resistance. Roald Dahl, a British subject, joined the army in 1939. He was given the rank of lieutenant in the King's African Rifles, commanding a platoon of Askaris. Askaris were indigenous troops serving in the colonial army. After only a month in the army, Dahl joined the Royal Air Force. He was accepted for training in Nairobi, Kenya, among 16 other applicants. Only 3 of his classmates, besides himself, survived the war. In Kenya, he received training and managed to collect 7 hours and 40 minutes experience in a de Havilland tiger moth. Dahl continued his training in Iraq, 50 miles west of Baghdad. He was commissioned pilot officer on the 24th of August 1940. Following 6 months of training on Hawker Hart, Dahl was made an acting pilot officer. Assigned to number 80 Squadron, RAF, Dahl was given control over the obsolete Gloucester Gladiator, the last biplane model used by the British as a fighter aircraft. He didn't receive any additional training concerning aerial combat nor the Gladiator, since this was his first time he flew this plane. This led to a mishap in September of 1940. Dahl was ordered to fly from a base in Egypt, stopping to fuel on the route to Libya for a second refueling. From there he would fly to 80 Squadron's forward airstrip, 80 miles south of Mersa Matruh. On the final leg, he could not find the airstrip, and running low on fuel, and with night approaching, he was forced to attempt a landing in the desert. He crash-landed and was badly hurt, temporarily losing his eyesight. Dahl barely had enough strength to crawl away from the flaming aeroplane, which exploded soon after the crash. Luckily, he was found by a rescue team and was sent to the Royal Navy Hospital in Alexandria. As the process of healing dragged on, Roald Dahl commenced a turbulent love affair with one of the nurses, Mary Welland. So in 1941, the would-be writer recovered and was back with his squadron. The battle for Greece was heating up and Dahl was sent on his first combat mission. His squadron was based near Athens when the Germans invaded. The RAF supported the Greek army during their futile defence effort, but only 18 planes were active during the campaign. Dahl was now flying a Hawker Hurricane. On the 15th of April 1941, he solely intercepted a group of 6 Junkers 88s that were bombing ships near the port and shot one down. Just one day after, he repeated his success, downing one more bomber. On the 21st of April 1941, Dahl took part in the Battle of Athens, alongside one of the highest scoring British Commonwealth aces of World War II, Pat Pattle, and Dahl's friend David Coke. Of 12 Hurricanes involved, 5 were shot down and 4 of the pilots killed, including Patel. Greek observers on the ground counted 22 German aircraft downed. But because of the confusion of the aerial engagement, none of the pilots knew which aircraft they had shot down. Dahl described it as an endless blur of enemy fighters whizzing towards me from every side. During the battle, Dahl shot down at least 1 enemy aircraft. Due to the mention of confusion, it was never confirmed. After the defeat in Greece, Dahl retreated to Egypt, along with what was left of his squadron. There he shot down a Vinci French 63 and another 88 bomber. He soon started having strange headaches that had caused him to black out. Roald Dahl was sent home to Britain. Though at this time, Dahl was the only pilot officer on probation. In September 1941, he was simultaneously confirmed as a pilot officer and promoted to War Substantive Flying Officer. He spent the rest of the war years serving as a diplomatic and intelligence officer in Washington, writing propaganda material for the American public and notifying Winston Churchill directly on behalf of Franklin Roosevelt. Dahl preferred to his service later by stating, "My job was to try and help Winston to get on with Roosevelt and tell Winston what was what in the old boy's mind." He left the service in August 1946 with the substantive rank of squadron leader. His record of 5 aerial victories qualified him as a flying ace. Has been confirmed by post-war research, cross-reference with Axis reports.